Hey, welcome to the Vintage Vibe, where tonight we're going to take a peek at a pretty unique integrated amplifier. Now I do have to warn you, before we get going, some do believe this did come from Luxman's darkest days. And if what you mean by that is the sombering black anodized finish and maybe a little bit of black plastic, well, you could be right. I mean, some do say they were the post-apocalyptic Alpine days. But fear not. On the horizon, a glimmer of hope. The Luxman LV-105. Yep, from a time when Luxman and Alpine were either flirting with disaster or creating something quite unique. Well, only for us to figure that out maybe 30 years later. So we're going to review the Luxman in its totality, including some unique features, some not so unique feature but notable nonetheless, as well as what's our ultimate impression of the amplifier. Is it one of those hidden gems out of the 80s when everything seemed lost, or should it have been kept in the closet with your cashmere sweater? First of all, one of the most unusual features, a preheating switch. I mean, this is kind of like, I don't know, heating up your lunch in the microwave. So the preheating switch sends a small amount of voltage to the tube filaments to keep them warm enough to bring it out of hibernation without waiting the normal 30 plus seconds to engage or to get it out of protection mode if you otherwise don't use it. Now, the true purpose of these tubes might in fact go down in audio folklore. I mean, a lot of sources will tell you that this is a true hybrid, that the tubes are in fact for the preamplifier, and that the output stage is MOSFET. Now, there are indeed MOSFETs in there, but other sources will tell you that these tubes in fact are used in the driver stage and that the preamp is passive. I guess the only folks who will really truly know are the folks at Luxman. I guess another notable feature is right in between the bass and the treble knob there is a switch which says tone in, and when this switch is activated, or I should say deactivated, you will bypass all the tone controls, getting the most pure sound signature that this amplifier can produce, and it is quite a pure one indeed. Another notable feature is there is a wide selection of inputs on this amplifier. In fact, there's I think 3 AV inputs, and a couple of them look like they're actually for monitor or video. However, I do not believe there's a processor of any sort inside this. One of those things that again is a little mysterious about the Luxman. Now, there is a phono stage in it that is discrete in nature. You've got provisions for moving magnet and moving coil, which is pretty cool. Your basic balance, as well as a couple more of those funky inputs for audio and video, which you'll probably never use. You know, on first glance and inspection, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a real winner. I mean, it's black and there's plastic, and as far as I remember, nothing really good came out of black and plastic. I mean, the amplifier, even the volume knob, there's no weight to it in your hand. It doesn't feel substantial. But the more you use it, the more you appreciate it for its simplicity in nature. For example, that volume control, although it kind of feels, lightweight in the hand, it's extremely smooth, and the amplifier tracks left and right channel just spot on, and that's usually a sign that the volume control is really that of high quality. So the Alps volume control that's in there, made by none other than Alpine, probably is a pretty decent potometer. It's one of those amplifiers that the more you use it, the more you either really like it and begin to appreciate it, or the more you really hate it. I know that's a little odd to say, but if you're a Luxman fan, it's different. It doesn't have that typical kind of Luxman sound which you can listen to for hours. Not that you can't with this, but Luxman's always been kind of on the other side of Marantz, not as velvety and kind of warm, a little more accurate, but very refined. This amplifier is different in that it's very, very crisp. There's a lot of attack. It's fast. When a piano is being played, for example, you can really hear the keys vibrating. You can almost hear the board on the piano resonating. The strings of a guitar are extremely lifelike and real. To me, the more I listen to it, the more I realize that even in the 1980s, there was some really good sounding amplifiers being made. And in my opinion, the LV-105 is one of them. And heck, these little red diodes all throughout the inside of the amp are kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, somebody set up a Christmas tree inside the amplifier. And it's pretty cool to look at it at nighttime. The glow of those tubes, the filaments, kind of look kind of neat if you're just kind of chillaxing, combining a little bit of the old with the new. When it comes to service, there are a couple quirks. They're notorious for right where the tubes are running really hot and really destroying the solder joints in there, really making them crispy critters. And that's a cause for a whole bunch of little gremlins in these amplifiers. So it's really important it's serviced properly and that the bias is checked and that's running cool. This amplifier right now with the thermometer on it, I run about 35 degrees Celsius, which is, you know, pretty decent. That's average for the average amplifier. If I'm going to be running it for an extended time period, sometimes I'll put a fan right over top where the tubes are just to draw some of the heat out of it. This one's in really good condition and I like to keep it that way. What can you expect to pay for one? Well, on average in Canada here, I usually see them anywhere between about a low of $300 and maybe a high of about $400. Occasionally they'll creep higher than that, but that's about the norm. And it really is a good sounding amplifier. So if you get a chance to listen to it, give it a listen and give it a little time to warm up. It's one of those amplifiers that sound better the more it's been playing. You know, that's common with tube, type equipment. And this being a hybrid is no different. Throw on a couple of your favorite CDs or maybe records and give it a chance to show what it does really well, because that which it does well, it does do extremely well. So to me, this Luxman, a yay or a nay as a collectible, I really do think it is a gem. I do think it's one of the amplifiers that came out of kind of a hazy period where a manufacturer didn't know what it wanted to be when it grew up. And with that, thanks for joining the Vintage Vibe.